program, Cleveland.com's Hall of Fame beat writer for the Cleveland Cavaliers, was on her podcast, The Orange and Brown Report, and gave an opinion, an observation on one Deshaun Watson and how he looked at the end of the Browns minicamp session. This is what Mary Kay had to say about Deshaun Watson. Quote, "I think he needs to get some proper rest over the break because I thought his arm seemed to tail off a little. Maybe he's got the slightest bit of fatigue in his surgically repaired shoulder." End quote. That was Mary Kay on Wednesday. Zach, you alluded me to the fact this morning that Mary Kay was asked about this either on the radio, on a podcast, I'm not sure where, but she gave some more context and or some clarity on what she may have
Yeah,
meant.
she was on the morning show on 92.3, and she made it clear she was speculating. She was basically pointing out that she thought he was not as consistent, and he certainly didn't throw the ball as impressively later. And so she made it clear that she was speculating, and she kind of hinted that she had gotten some backlash from a comment she made on a summer podcast, which will happen. So look, until Deshaun Watson convinces everybody that his body's not broken, then everybody's going to think that. And continually, we're going to look at, say, logically, there's no reason for the Browns to think that Deshaun Watson can give him anything because in 4 years, he hasn't given him much. But, the last time he was involved in football activities, he was coming back from a major shoulder injury and was guided through. I don't think it was the injury that was the problem. I don't think it's the injury that's the problem now. But yeah, you look at, they had 13 practices in a pretty short window. Now they're going to have 13 practices in 18 days, starting in 3 weeks. So I think it's something we'll look at, but I don't think that it was a direct one-to-one, line-to-line thing here where the team or Team Watson is saying that this is an issue.
Just from your own personal observations, did you think you saw any fatigue in his shoulder from when it started to when minicamp ended?
We saw him become the quarterback that he's been. But I never once saw him come off and grab the arm, get treated, anything like that. We saw pretty consistent schedule where we saw one of the 3 OTAs per week as reporters, and then in minicamp, we were allowed to see all 3 practices. But I didn't see any sitting out of drills, any getting worked on, anything like that.
I think more than anything, I don't think it's the injuries. Now, injuries play a role because I remember tell everybody Kenny Pickett was leading in the clubhouse, and then he pulled his hamstring, and we didn't see him no more
on the 4th day.
Yeah,
so it changed,
and it was just like we just didn't see him ever, no more. So when you're talking about multiple Achilles and an ACL and a shoulder and these different things, those things take a toll on yourself. Now, to be in a quarterback competition, and I remember even myself, is when you're working your way back, there's already built-in days where they giving you rest. These are built-in, hey, so-and-so's G. Bush not out here because he's getting treatment. We trying to work on some swelling. It was already built in. You can't do that if you in a battle. No. You got to, that's just what it is. You got to be out there. So
Pickett went from the favorite to getting traded because he couldn't participate in the battle.
You got to be available. Now, for me, I think more than anything, I ain't even gonna say it's the injuries. Man, it's the 4 years. He's in 4 years, he's played a handful of games with at the most difficult position to even talk about. From processing to footwork, to ball placement, to timing and rhythm with, reading coverages, all this stuff. And he's played a handful of games. Now, mind you, guys are getting younger. Game speeds up. I remember the first time I went back and started watching college football, and it dawned on me maybe 4 years out that the new people was playing at a completely different speed than I was. Mm-hmm. Like I said, these dudes is fast. Linebackers, everybody was fast. Everybody was quicker. And so that's why when somebody says, the quarterback competition, what are we doing here? I'm like, no, you have to see it because you don't want to coddle and be like, okay, he looked great in shorts and then give somebody the role. And then you get into, the heat of battle and you're looking around and all of a sudden it don't look the same. No. That's why you need to see it in the speed of the game. I think that's just what it is.
I'm not saying this is what happened, but I think a very logical way to look at the last 8 months as this thing has kind of set up is that Todd Monken came in and looked the last time Deshaun Watson had played, Todd Monken was on the other side.
14 of 14.
And here was Deshaun Watson coming in a full year off his second surgery, healthy, hungry, motivated, fresh, all of these things. And it's like Todd Monken's thinking, I'm here to win games. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to give this guy a shot. And then he got up there and started playing, and it's like, well, maybe it's not fully fresh, healthy, motivated. And you're right. In full fairness to Deshaun. Like, I don't care if you're a mediocre quarterback, pretty good quarterback, or great. You got to play a quarterback.
You have to.
And he didn't play it at all for a year, over a year. He got back on the practice field for 3 weeks. So yes, he did his training, but he has not played in a game since October of 24.
Lots changed.
Sheesh.
And so to be at the top of your game, you have to be doing it all the time. It doesn't have to be every ball on the money. It doesn't have to be every game or every practice is great, but you have to be doing it all the time. And he hasn't been doing it at all.
No. I wasn't at any of the minicamp OTAs practices. They happened during the show, which is why we're not able to get out there. So I'm just going off what Mary Kay said, what you have said. And whether his arm fatigued or not, the fact that this is even a conversation in the beginning of July before training camp opens up tells me that the Browns have one and one option only at quarterback, and that's Shedeur Sanders. Because if Mary Kay and her vision and observation of the fatigue is real, the fact that she's even mentioning it means she saw something. Watson said he was 100% healthy. Fatigue doesn't necessarily count as an injury. He's not saying he's lying. I don't know the truth. All I know is in minicamp, Zach, answer me yes or no. Can quarterbacks get hit?
No.
Are quarterbacks facing live pressure?
No.
Are quarterbacks making a ton of throws that they wouldn't normally make at any other time?
No, not really.
There's no reason for his shoulder to be fatigued in minicamp. So what happens when training camp happens? And there's more of a competition. There's more emphasis on the accuracy and the zip and the ability to fit things into tight windows. And then we get to preseason where guess what? You can get hit. And then you look at his track record with the 2 Achilles tears, with an ACL tear back in Houston, with the weird shoulder injury that there's never been a precedent for in the NFL. And you add all that together, and I'm thinking to myself saying, there's not a chance in hell this guy is going to be healthy enough to survive an entire season, rather less maybe 1 or 2 games of an NFL season. And if that's the outcome, if Deshaun's body, for a million different reasons, just simply isn't able to stand up and hold up during the rigors of an NFL season, then just play Shedeur, see what you got, and then make a determination at the end of the 2026 season whether or not he's the quarterback moving forward or whether you have to go out and draft or find another one. There's no benefit to playing Deshaun Watson if he can't stay healthy. And if we're even having remote discussions on him showing shoulder fatigue in a situation where he should be the most fresh he is all season, then where are we going to be at in September after a game where this remade offensive line may or may not be able to protect him to the level that's needed? Where are we going to be at in October? There's no way that ends well. There's no way. Maybe 0.0000001% chance. And if that's the case, wrists up, play Shedeur. What are we waiting for?
I tell you what, it played out exactly the way Todd Monken wants it to play out. Behind closed doors is like this, man. There's no downside to saying, okay, well, this is a competition, because guess what you want? You want Shedeur Sanders to be here. You want Deshaun Watson to be here. You want Shedeur Sanders to be looking at the playbook constantly. You want him to.
Dawg Pound, listen to this. Every Super Bowl team has a moment when the front office stops talking about potential and starts building pressure. Not hype, pressure. Because when January football arrives, the soft teams disappear. The teams built only on hope disappear. And the teams that survive are the teams that win in the trenches, hit quarterbacks, stop the run, close games, and make opponents uncomfortable for 60 minutes. That is why the idea of Derek Barnett joining the Cleveland Browns is so interesting. Now let's be clear, this is not official. Derek Barnett has not signed with the Cleveland Browns. This is a possible move, a dream scenario, a roster-building conversation. But if Cleveland is serious about chasing a Super Bowl, the Browns cannot just build a team that looks good on paper. They need a team that can win ugly. A team that can survive the AFC North. A team that can walk into Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati without fear. Derek Barnett brings that kind of edge. He's a veteran pass rusher, a Super Bowl champion, and a defender who understands playoff football. He knows how one sack, one pressure, one mistake forced by the defense can change an entire season. And for Cleveland, that matters. Because the Browns do not just need talent, They need finishers. They need closers. They need players who can turn close games into wins. How many times have Browns fans watched this team fight, stay close, and then lose because one big defensive play never came? That is the difference between being interesting and being dangerous. Barnett could help Cleveland become more dangerous, not by carrying the defense alone, but by adding toughness, rotation, pass rush depth, and another veteran body who can punish offensive tackles late in games. Because in the NFL, the road to the Super Bowl starts with pressure. Baltimore wants to run through you. Pittsburgh wants every game to become a street fight. Cincinnati wants time to throw downfield. So Cleveland needs a defense that destroys rhythm, closes pockets, hits quarterbacks, and makes every snap feel uncomfortable. Now imagine this: fourth quarter, cold playoff game in Cleveland. The Browns are up by 3. The opponent has the ball. The stadium is shaking. The quarterback drops back. Derek Barnett explodes off the edge. The pocket collapses. The quarterback moves early. The throw comes out late. Incomplete. Browns ball. That is not just a stop. That is a Super Bowl type of play. And if Cleveland wants to get there, they need more players who can create those moments. They need a defense that helps the offense breathe, a defense that gives Shedeur Sanders extra possessions, a defense that gives Quinshon Judkins more chances to control the clock, a defense that gives Jerry Jeudy, Isaiah Bond, KC Concepcion, Denzel Boston, Harold Fannin Jr., and Dylan Sampson more opportunities to attack. That is complementary football. Defense creates pressure. Pressure creates mistakes. Mistakes create short fields. Short fields create points. And points create wins. And wins create belief. That is how the NFL starts looking at Cleveland and saying, wait a second, the Browns might actually be dangerous. Barnett would not have to be the star. He would not have to be the savior. But he could be the piece that makes the rotation stronger, keeps the pass rush fresh, and helps close games when pressure matters most. That is what Super Bowl teams do. They stack advantages. They build depth. They add veterans. They create waves of pressure. They make opponents feel like there is no safe snap. And that is what Cleveland has to become. No easy downs, no comfortable pockets, no soft endings. If the Browns want to reach the Super Bowl, they need to become the team nobody wants to play in December and January. A team that hits first, a team that finishes, a team that turns defensive pressure into playoff momentum. Again, this is not official. The contract would have to make sense. The role would have to make sense. The health and fit would have to be right. But the idea is powerful because Barnett brings playoff experience, edge toughness, pass rush depth, and a Super Bowl standard. That matters when you're building around a young quarterback. That matters when you're trying to protect leads. That matters when you're trying to turn potential into purpose. Dawg Pound, picture the message. To Shedeur Sanders, you do not have to carry this alone. To the offense, we will get you the ball back. To the AFC North, Cleveland is coming with pressure. To the NFL, the Browns are not building for attention, they're building for February. So now I want to hear from you. Would Derek Barnett be the kind of veteran pass rusher who could help the Cleveland Browns build a Super Bowl defense? Could he be the missing piece in the trenches? Could he help this team finally become dangerous enough to shock the entire NFL?